the voting's in progress, but we're muted. We're not muted. All right. Oh gosh, hang on. All right, good evening, Dayton. Welcome to the Town of Dayton Planning Board regular meeting and public hearing this Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. All right, so just as a reminder, this is a public meeting being video and audio recorded for cable broadcast. Our next meeting will be here on Wednesday, April 1st, 2026. No April Fools, Joe. First item on the agenda is the public hearing for Tyler Gooch and Brad Staples, 553 and 543 Center Street, map 13, lots 42, 42A, and a special permit and site plan review. Can somebody please make a motion to open the public hearing for that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Made and seconded, and I don't see Woody online, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is 4 ayes. Notes later. All right, good evening.
Evening.
Good evening. So we've got Jim on the line here. So, hey, how are you doing, Jim? So I think what might make more sense is have him present on his findings. You can have your side of it. And then I've got some just additional things after I did a secondary review. I don't know if you checked your email this afternoon, but Carrie sent you the update with my second run through with what you did. And then we'll go from there.
Perfect. Just before you get started, Carrie did ask me to provide you guys with copies. So it's
Okay.
11 by 17 of the plan on top, and on the bottom is a copy of the, just a presentation plan.
Okay.
And then for the file, these are 2 copies of the narrative report.
Okay. You want to give this in? Yeah, we got one here. I've got it digitally.
Okay.
Yep. So we can pass these down. Jim, do I have to give you sharing privileges here?
I think I need sharing privileges. Let me try one more time. Yeah, no, sharing's not turned on.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm doing it on the wrong place. There it is. I was doing it on that as I usually stand by. All right, you should be good now.
All right. Yep, looks like it'll work. Hold on just a sec.
Get a copy ready? That's the bottom one.
Okay. Y'all should be able to see my screen now.
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Okay, so of course, this is our peer review for 553 Center Street, as Jeff mentioned a moment ago. Site plan and special permit review.
Okay.
All right, this is the site. It's proposed 4-bay commercial contractor garage. So the idea from what we understand from the application is that contractors would come in with their vehicles and equipment. They would park, during the day. This would be an opportunity for them to park, and then they could take their equipment off-site and do work wherever they needed to. So this is in a R1 zone residential with mixed-use overlay district, which allows for commercial uses. The area here at the site is 1.3 acres. Again, 4-bay commercial contractor garage with associated paid parking area for a total of about 20 spaces, or specifically 20 spaces. Installation of stormwater management system, and the applicant proposed to use a Coltech infiltration system. Utilities will be served by municipal water and a Title V compliant on-site septic system. So we went over, or our review included general bylaw compliance, special permit compliance, site plan, utilities, stormwater, and project constructability. These are the materials. I won't read through them all, but these are the materials that we were provided for the application. I know that more have been sent in and we haven't reviewed those yet. We have a proposal out, and I believe that's been sent to the applicant to do that review. General findings, so we just have them in a list here. Of course, they're more detailed in the peer review letter that we provided, but generally speaking, we need the application materials to not provide a building coverage calculation, so we need that provided. Want to confirm the building height and the number of stories to be used out here. Revise the parking space depth, so it was proposed at 18 feet, 18-foot depth, but 19 feet is required. Confirm the parking setbacks from the property line. Those weren't clear from the materials we reviewed. Provide a landscaping plan with buffers, interior planting, and screening as required for this area. Show required screening for the parking areas, 10 plus spaces. As I noted before, total of 20. Identify the snow storage locations on site, specify curbing details, provide a site lighting plan if one's proposed at this site, submit the environmental compliance narrative, including noise, odor, and vibration for the site construction, clarify trash handling and refuse disposal approach, and then address storage of flammable materials and safety measures if any are to be included here. And we're sort of assuming that since this involves contractors, that they will have some of those materials with them. They'll, have them in the vehicles that they bring. And so either there should be some sort of plan for how to deal with those, or restriction on what they can bring in, or maybe some combination of both those things. That's essentially what we would expect to see there. So additional findings, provide stormwater details. So test pits and groundwater separation, we need those. Infiltration and drawdown calculations. Confirm the overflow design and erosion control, and add inspection and maintenance access. And submit architectural plans for the garage, show the elevations, materials to be used, etc., and how they would be appropriate for this area. Updated plans to include fire protection features, cost estimations of improvements, and then vegetation and planting details. And so the one other comment that I would make on this is that, of course, this is mixed use overlay in a residential area. I think that it's basically intended for commercial uses. We couldn't find this use explicitly identified in the zoning regulation, so it's not on the use table. So we weren't really sure how to handle that. And of course, that means at this point that we would leave it up to the planning and zoning board as to how to handle that issue appropriately. And so that's it for our presentation, unless there's any questions.
Nope, none for me. Anybody on the board have any questions? Jim? Good. Thank you very much, Jim. So that was original. So that was the review from the original submission. And so you've got a bunch of my notes back and forth, and you have information here that I can present. So do you want me to just hit share? Sorry. Have to just request, right?
Oh, so she started screen sharing.
Oh, look at that. Who knew? There we go. Okay, excellent. Okay. Okay, so I've got your two items here. You know, which one would you like up first?
Um,
Well, not the plans, you want your presentation up?
you can put the presentation up, yeah, because it's just a little less detailed, a little easier to understand what
Okay.
we have going on here.
Yeah, let me find. Make this so it's easier to see. Is that big enough? Ish? Yeah, not really. That's tiny.
Try double clicking on the with the other keyboard.
Up there. Oh, it'll definitely make it bigger. Slightly bigger. There you go.
I
Yeah,
think that's good.
that'll work. Okay, good.
All right, very good. Just for the record, it's Evan Watson, W Engineering, representing the applicant. Jim did a good job of describing the project at depth and kind of summarizing the letter down to a little concise item there. So when we received the letter, I think last week we submitted a new set of plans, a response letter that basically was able to address all of the comments. So we made a couple of plan changes, like adjusted the size of the parking spaces. We added a landscape plan, more or less utilizing a lot of the existing landscaping on the site with the arborvitaes that are there now behind the trailer along the access drive. We can move to the other side. And then this plan, I colored up a little bit to basically demonstrate how we have a lot of existing vegetation along the roadway, along Center Street.
Oh, that's
Oh yeah, that's a little bit better. So if we started adding islands and all that type of thing internal to the parking areas, we would be expanding the parking areas. So you could see to the right, there's some existing cedar trees. I think there's might be 20 something cedar trees over there.
right along here.
No, in between the driveway and the proposed site,
Gotcha.
a little bit to the left.
On this side.
Yeah, right in there, right in between the two uses.
The right-hand
There's a
side of the
nice
lot.
Tree line right there along that property line. And then along Center Street, there's some larger trees, some locust trees in there and some maple trees. And then there's a good shrub layer down low, so we can leave that. And then there's a really nice looking locust tree there as well on the corner that really sets up nice for the entrance. And then on the back side of the property, you can see I moved the arborvitaes down so it blocks the view from Brad's house on the other side. So by utilizing a lot of the existing vegetation we have there, I think it sets up well without having to do a lot of landscape islands and that type of thing. The lighting, there's no proposed lighting plan other than maybe some floodlighting off of the building, which complies with your bylaw. And I think really the only two things that I was asking the board maybe for a little bit of discretion on was one about the landscaping, given that we have so much existing landscaping, some vegetation. There was one comment to provide a cost estimate to fully comply with section 5442. So since they haven't yet gone forward and the company that makes the build or designs the building, it's tough to get one of these companies to move forward until you have your permits in hand.
I have a question about that, if you don't mind me interrupting. So, hey, Jim, remind me, do we normally get some kind of a ROM at this stage? Because that was my only question, and that's why it's still yellow on my response, was do we normally get some kind of rough order of magnitude, or do we hold off until they get more information?
Personally, I would think that it would be fine to wait if that's acceptable to you, you folks on the planning board. I don't know that we necessarily get a cost estimate at this point.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, so we did provide that. We didn't sign the stormwater what was it, the illicit discharge statement, which,
Condition 10.
yeah, which we will, and that's more of a conservation issue too. It's not in the bylaw, it's just that, so
Yeah.
they're here too if you want them to sign.
I don't have it ready, so,
That's fine, yeah.
okay, all right.
I think those are the only two things. A lot of the comments, most of the comments were, besides a couple little plan changes, was regarding the landscaping.
Mhm.
And I believe your bylaw allows you to give a little bit of leeway on the strict requirements of that.
Mhm.
And then the other issues, most of them was the test pits. So on the plan set, on the existing condition sheet, there actually was test pit logs on the plan set,
Yep,
and the infiltration systems were designed with that in mind. The test pits we did were witnessed by the Board of Health. Very good soils, all sand and gravel, a very low water table, so we didn't have any trouble meeting the depth to groundwater requirements or the infiltration requirements. So
good.
I basically directed everybody to those. And then on the revised plan set, I added a little bit more detail in the Coltech units about groundwater and about some of the cleanouts that were asked about too.
Okay.
Oh, and we added a dumpster pad too, which is important for the planning board to know.
Okay.
So basically, ultimately, I think we're in really good shape. I really appreciate how you went through everything and kind of gave everybody an idea of where everything stands.
Yep.
It looks to me like hopefully we're in good shape with giving the planning board after taking your input, being able to address all your concerns.
Mhm.
And it looks like maybe there's 12 minor items here that is a engineering type thing that the board didn't feel comfortable or might not feel comfortable saying okay without.
A second
someone
review.
saying okay,
Yeah, a second review through the engineer is what we're.
So I would just ask, if you do ask the engineer to review the submitted materials, to possibly limit the review to those 12 items. So just to save on his time of having to go through, I think there's 43 items on here or something. Most of them are repetitive.
And I agree, because,
Okay.
I don't want to cut you off.
No, I'm done, no.
Okay, all right, so, and I agree wholeheartedly on that, and Jim, I owe you an email to ask that specifically, because I think we need an update on the ROM, but on your estimate. And so if you're done with your thing here, I was gonna bring up my OneNote, just so more folks can see that, so I'm gonna just minimize this for a minute.
Well, just to find the last thing I'll say is, I
Sure.
think all 12 of these items that are being reviewed here are also, I think, is under review for conservation as well, like under their purview being a notice of intent with stormwater.
Yeah,
So I don't know if some of those efforts,
we're kind of hoping they won't be duplicative.
right, and maybe the budget is already there for.
Yeah, I guess that's a question for you, Jim. How does that work when there's overlap there? Is it, the only items that were, well, let me bring up what I'm talking about, so we're all talking about the same thing.
Mhm.
This is what we were talking to. This went out, and as expected, you can't read that.
At 10:45 last night.
I can't read that. Well, that's when I got done reviewing it.
Oh, okay, yeah, so thank you.
I have a day job.
Yes.
This is not it. So this was just a second pass through, and just the color codes are, the green is, I went through all of the comments that Western and Sampson had, and then bounced them off of the feedback we got from W. Is that what we're calling it? W Engineering. And looked at his responses relative to Jim's comments and color coding green means that I think they've resolved the comment or resolved the concern. So what we're talking about, Jim, and you can see my screen, I hope.
Yep.
The green is, I think we're good to go. We don't need any further review on that. The purple, or I guess that's a purple color, is conditions of approval. So that's on us. So what we were asking is, starting on number 21 all the way down to 28. Yeah, 28. and and actually some additional items back here. These are, stormwater handbook standards, and then all of these have to do with conservation things. So I guess the question to you is, I guess go back, I think, I don't want to put you in a spot here, but I would think that just because you're not reviewing all 43 items and going through the entire proposal, if we just want to be targeted, is that something you can do? You can take a look at that again and see if, number one,
Sure.
if it reduces the estimate, and number two, if there's duplication between us and another board, it would make sense if you were already doing this review for another, that we can reap the benefit of that.
Right. Yeah. Whenever we do a review for conservation and the planning board, there's likely to be overlap between the two for the stormwater issues, and
Yep.
you only review them once. So, we write the comments that we put together in a way that it's pretty easy to just grab them and put them in the other set of comments. So you get two reviews, parallel reviews, if you will. But the level of effort is as if you did one review. Does that make sense?
Yep. So either way, you did be savings on the other end.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I guess long story short, I don't know if we want to step through these, but Jim, you have these, so you saw what I did.
Mhm.
So I was good with I can just pull out his comments. I was good with his building coverage calculation. Good with the dimensioning. So you were asking about what table of which line we would use in the Appendix B. And it really, because it's mixed use, other permitted uses in business district, mixed use, so they or industrial, so it's really either one of these bottom ones. Is what is sort of, well, it would actually be other. It'd be
I could chime in.
35, 65. Go ahead.
When we submitted the application,
That one there.
I had the same trouble saying what we're gonna, so I asked the zoning enforcement officer at the time to take a look, and he wrote a letter basically explaining that he believed it was a good allowed use.
Okay. Right, but I'm talking about the dimensional regulations.
Oh, on the dimensional.
Based on,
I'm sorry.
right, I remember that letter, but on your dimensional regulations table that you have on here, the question that Jim had was, you didn't provide the building coverage, you didn't provide the height of the building maximum with projection height. So if we look at the other, that's the 35 height and a 65-foot projection. And then the rest of these dimensions match what you have here. So that was good to go. The second one was about parking spaces, and you've addressed that. Third item was about talk about conducting approximate measurement of the distance between the proposed parking area and the property line. You've addressed that with the 20 feet right from the right of way. Fourth one, I guess I am going to go through these one by one. Applicant has not proposed any screening, and you addressed that with screening along Center Street. So you showed with the trees there, and then you're asking about some lenience with the screening you have there, given all the requirements of 3,500, and put that to the board. I thought that was what they've done with the existing conditions and what they're going to do with screening. I didn't have any concerns. Anybody?
Well, the only concern I have is the neighbors. That's my biggest concern,
Right.
because even though there's nobody here, I just,
Neighbors are all pretty nice.
yeah, no,
They all know, we've talked to them all.
Yeah, they're all.
yeah, no, my only thing is that if during the construction period, if you knock down some trees or whatever, just, I guess, be courteous to
All open.
replant.
One tree we gotta take down, that's in.
No, but I mean, you try to make
It's
the,
happened, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, I don't disagree.
that's my biggest concern at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
if I was a neighbor there, I don't think I would feel the same way, but it is what it is.
Don't move it next to Joe.
There you go.
So that was the only one that was, I made it green, but I'm like, I need to bring this up for the rest of the board to make sure they're okay with it. So it's five-member board. Next one, number 5, was the curbing, and you addressed that with indicating Cape Cod berm added to the layout plan. Good to go there.
Got some curb stops in front.
Curb stops, yep. I saw that on the drawings. per section 3160, parking area with 20 more spaces, and you updated and revised the plan, and that was specifically with the snow storage. So we hope you're not storing snow, but if you want, I could bring some snow back.
Put it in the
I'm good,
garage.
I've seen enough of it.
Store it in the garage.
I'm good for a while. So you've allocated some spaces where you can, when you're clearing snow, you can place it and hopefully it goes away fast. Not like this winter. Water lighting plans is number 7, and like you mentioned earlier that you revised the plan and you have a building mounted lighting, and I specifically remember you presenting this last time, 2,000 watts, exceeding 50,000 lumens.
And I added that note directly on the plans that matches what it says in your bylaws.
Yep, I did see that, thank you. Next comment was, should specifically confirm the proposed garage will comply with the 40-foot residential standard, and you've added the note, building will have insulated exterior walls, which will insulate any noises generated inside the building. There are no proposed noise generating activities outside the building which generate significant sound, noise, vibration, odor, or flashing. That's good there. Next one is number 9, where this is where you talked about the dumpster pad. So that was addressed. Next one is board member wish to have applicant submit a narrative, number 10, for the solid waste disposal, and on and on and on. And you address this here with your comment. There are currently no tenants selected for the proposed building. It can be expected that auxiliary flammable material may be stored on site. And the applicant will impose a requirement that no fuel will be stored on site without the appropriate permits and safety equipment installed. That's a long comment there.
Yeah, I agree with Jim. It's, all these contractors might have a propane torch or might have, all these different things, but
Right.
they're not going to be allowed to store like tanks of fuel. And if there is, the most flammable thing I can think of might be some, like a cutting torch or a welding torch.
Okay,
But those are already regulated under the fire code, so they'll have to get a permit to store those, et cetera. So anything that they're gonna have on site that's more than a small amount will have to get the appropriate permits, and that'll be in the lease agreement.
okay. So per section 3423, this is the section that talks about edible or attractive to rodents or insects. You address that there are no proposed uses which would store materials attractive to rodents or insects. The applicant will require that any future product that may attract rodents or insects will be stored in a sealed container. 3435, which is number 12. This is going to be a condition of approval. That's requirements of the section. So I didn't have the details there, but I went back and forth. I highlighted that as a condition of the approval. Section 3500, this is language very similar to the above with the screening, so it's really just same words repeated on a different line, so that's the green thing we're talking about with the screening. 14, it says see previous response, because that is the same thing with 15. 16, this was the plan showing existing and proposed grading. Some existing vegetation is shown. The board may wish to request the applicant clarify the makeup. So this was back, the original review, when you initially submitted the package. Didn't see any concerns there with what you've done here. Screening and noise, comment was applicant should demonstrate their approach, complying with applicable federal, state, and local noise and dust control requirements during construction. And this is, because this is a construction thing, this would be something we would either potentially put in our order of conditions or would be in your permit. So we'll have to talk to Carrie about where that is appropriate. But I want to highlight it here so she keeps the language.
Right, typically there's hours and days of operation.
Right, and that's in our conditions.
Yeah, and this project isn't anything special that we require night work or
Got it.
night work.
Okay. Cover vegetation is number 18. And they said the plans have been revised to specify plantings, and also the 4-inch loom and seed, which is called out on your drawing. I specifically remember that call out. Next one is the bond. That's also a condition, so it's an easy one. 4900, which is number 20. Mixed use overlay district, defer the board's opinion as to whether as to the compatibility of the development, aesthetics, and use of the content in the context of the neighborhood. We've stated at some point during your initial presentation that there were no concerns here. So I'm going to skip over 21 because that's a yellow. 22 is a yellow. That's we're asking Jim to do another pass on that. 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. And then we come down to the criteria for the number 29 for 5300 and special permit. And this was the interdisciplinary input is necessary. And we didn't think any additional input was required. Next one is development impact statement. We got one has been submitted and appears to have been prepared by a registered professional civil engineer. Planning board may wish to consider additional inputs if necessary, and we thought that was adequate. At least I felt that was adequate. I don't know if you guys had a chance to review that or have any other questions about the list that was provided.
No, I don't have any.
Mr. Figueredo?
I'm all set.
We good with that? Okay. So that was the DIS. Next one is 31. Planning board may wish to consider whether additional detail is necessary to fulfill, satisfy 5341. Unfortunately, I don't have the details here in front of me, but we're satisfied with that. 5341, 5342 is the surface water and surface conditions. Report does not provide specific qualitative analysis of nitrate or phosphate loading. Planning board may wish to consider whether additional detail is required, and I didn't see it, that would be necessary in this case. Circulatory systems is the next one, 33. Given the small scale of the project, the projected traffic appears minimal. However, the planning board may wish to consider whether additional traffic information is required to satisfy that, and I thought what was provided was adequate. 34 is those 4 items, A, B, C, D, and E, 5 items. The only one I had a comment about, so we were good with everything provided there. It was E, was the estimate. And I think just based on what Jim said, we're good with leaving that as is for the time being. So I'll just make that a condition. So I'm going to switch that to condition. So I'm going to note to myself so I remember. 34E, make a condition. Okay. At the bottom here, let's see. Jumping to 36, minimal visual intrusion and visibility of parking and storage. This has to do with the equipment and materials there. There are, in your comment, there are no other area than the parking lot that would be allowed for storage of equipment and materials. We're good there. Minimum glare from headlights was the next one, and said the planning board, or Weston and Sampson said the planning board may wish to require that any exterior lighting be fully shielded, downward directed. We've already addressed that above, so we're good there. Minimum unreasonable departure from character. Just going back to the use of the property, no concerns there. 39, 40, and 41 have to do with stormwater standards. So that's what we're asking Jim to take another look at. And applicant will sign the statement. I guess I should have probably had that one in. Yeah, I still have it in yellow because I never saw the signature, but like we said, that's gonna probably also add that to the conditions, right? All right, and that is what I had. So I think you're in very good shape, and I think as I mentioned in the email, that we'd like another pass on this, but turn it over to other members of the board if you have other questions or concerns you'd like to discuss with the applicant or the engineer.
Or if anybody wants to just approve it.
Or if anybody just wants to approve it.
I baked really good.
The back row approves.
What about stormwater and are they approved? Everything is not approved. So I mean, it will be subject to that if we approve.
Right.
anything coming out of the other boards.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I want Jim to do another pass on this,
Okay,
so I'm not proposing we approve it tonight.
okay.
So I think we need to continue this public hearing. And once we get his inputs, which I don't anticipate there being any problems, but I want him to go through that latest data we got from the engineer. From the
Okay.
engineer.
So I was just gonna suggest that we could approve it subject to, but that's me.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else?
Oh,
All right. How about you, gentlemen, on this side?
good.
Anybody else feeling that you want to approve subject to these here, or do you wish to wait?
I mean, generally, we would, I don't know if we would normally do that with, if you have that many items to review.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I
I
wanted
think
to
if it's a few, we usually do, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't wanna start doing that, opening that can.
I agree. I feel the same way. Sorry,
I don't
folks.
have any issues with, no, I don't have any issues with it at all, but
It was worth a try, though.
We don't want to make you uncomfortable.
I don't have any issues with it. I
Okay.
think it'll all be good once
Okay.
it's fully packaged.
Okay, sounds good to me. I just want to get your opinion, that's all.
Agree.
Okay, any other questions for Jim? Well, we have Jim here. Jim, thank you for your review.
Very welcome.
Okay, so looking at our friendly calendar, it's easier to do it on my phone. So our next meeting here is the 1st. I mean, we can certainly try for it. So,
We have a hearing scheduled tomorrow at Conservation. But
Okay.
we're still waiting for the view and our response back to them, so that's not gonna be squared away next time.
yeah,
It won't be until, the earliest it would be squared away is the following month's conservation hearing, which would
Okay.
be a month from tomorrow. So we could try for April 1st.
we could try for April 1st. And so really all that needs to happen by the 1st is that Jim does his review and he provides it to us.
Right.
And then I get a look at it at, 11 PM like I normally do.
Yeah.
And then we would have the meeting. And if everything looks in order, there's no reason why we can't approve conditional upon those other boards. Right, so we wouldn't want to hold you up unnecessarily, have you circle back to us to wait to see what they say. We would, if everything was in order, you get an approval on the 1st.
Sure.
Sound good?
Quick question on that,
Yes, sir.
which
It
would be,
might be time for you, though.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It might be a little time for you, though, Jim.
Well, so it depends. Like I would need to check in with a couple of folks in our shop, James Pearson in particular. We
Okay.
could probably, I think we could probably squeeze in the review, but we would need the we'd need the approval on the proposal. And I
Okay.
know there was concern about the budget. If you want us to provide a revised budget, I can do that. If we can do it by email, that'd be the easiest thing.
Email would be the best way, because even though Carrie's away, she is checking, and if you want to keep me on those emails, when you go back and forth with Carrie, just so I can just ping on her if you're not hearing back.
Yeah, so then we would just need, again, the authorization to proceed. So
Okay.
as long as we have that with adequate time, and like I said, I can check in with
Okay.
with folks in my shop and make sure
All right,
they're.
I would appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
of
we
course.
don't, all right, thank you. We don't vote on the proposals anymore. It's a lot more streamlined. We're like lightning speed here. So we'll be able to expedite that as soon as we get the back and forth. But all right, anything else?
No.
All right, appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And can somebody please make a motion to continue this public hearing to Wednesday, April 1st?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
That's 4 ayes. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Oh, you guys.
See you on the 1st.
Yes, you will.
Do you want help?
Yeah.
All right, so next item on the agenda is the favorite subject, the solar moratorium. Bum, bum, bum.
Jeff, another quick question here. You're all set with me at this point, or do you need me to hang around?
We're good. If you want to hang out, you're welcome to.
No,
But I
think
understand if you want to go.
yeah. Always interested in solar moratoriums and such, but wants to go end here. Have a great evening.
They'll just have to
Thanks, you
catch us
too,
on
Jim.
YouTube later, that's all.
Thanks.
Good night. So I think I am, yeah, I don't have to do anything there. All right, so what I have before you is, so this is actually what you're gonna need. So in your packet, if you look in your packet, there's a version of this, but I printed this just because it was a little easier to read. So what I did was I took inputs from last time. We had specifically had just an update to do a couple things. One was to update the numbers to make sure I had the right number of solar farms in the town of Dayton. So we have 9 permitted. We have 6 completed and 3 still under construction. So if you look at what you have in front of you, those numbers have been updated to reflect reality, right? So I have the darn thing open. Yeah, so in the first paragraph, yeah, specifically it says, Town of Dayton currently has 9 approved large-scale solar electric installations. So I went back and tried to get the language to match what's in our bylaw, because I had a mix of things. So the language matches what's in our bylaw. So we have 9 approved, commonly referred to as solar farms. And all that started back as early as 2015, with 6 fully operational, 3 still under construction. So the math checks out. That's good. Awaiting completion before going on. 2 of these large-scale solar electric installations are co-located with energy storage installations commonly referred to as BESS, so battery energy storage systems. So eventually we're gonna have to change our language to match the state thing. So starting now, I guess. So 2 of them have battery energy storage systems. And then pursuant to the zoning bylaws of the town of Dayton, solar electric installations, large and small scale, are allowed in the residential zoning district in accordance with the site plan review and special permit process. So far I haven't said anything earth shattering. So those are the changes in paragraph number 1. Paragraph number 2 didn't change. I just said that we were going to push it out because the state deadline is December 1st. And just stating that in order to do that, we would have a number of meetings that would have to start in June 2026. It just simply wouldn't be enough time. So Town of Dayton is faced with a deadline of December 1st, 2026 to adopt solar photovoltaic, to do some enunciation exercises, and battery energy storage system bylaws that are consistent with states, regulations, and guidelines. These are the model bylaws and guidelines for site suitability and baseline health, safety, and other standards and pre-filling requirements. Leaving the town of Dayton approximately 6 weeks to finalize its zoning bylaw amendments, hold a public hearing, publish these bylaws and a town warrant, and then vote to approve them at the annual town meeting in June of 2026. So there's just not enough time to get it done. So in order to meet the state's new regulations, the town of Dayton, third paragraph, needs both time and outside expertise to determine how it will best adhere to the state regulations. The imposition of a temporary moratorium of the construction of, and this is where we changed it, right? Because we said we're not going to have small scale part of this. So I specifically said the imposition of a temporary moratorium of the construction of large scale mounted solar electric installations and energy batteries installations, energy storage installations will allow sufficient time to amend the zoning bylaws to conform to newly proposed legal requirements. So temporary moratorium says, for the reasons set forth above and notwithstanding any other provision of the zoning bylaws to the contrary, the town hereby adopts a temporary moratorium of the use of land or structures for large-scale ground-mounted solar electric installations and energy storage installations, and specifically say does not apply to accessory roof-mounted solar photovoltaic installations, see section 4621, or small-scale ground-mounted solar electric installations, see section 4631B. Moratorium shall be in effect through June 2028. During the moratorium period, the town shall undertake a planning process to study, review, analyze, and address what revisions to the zoning bylaws relative to solar electric generating facilities and energy storage installations, see section 4600, are needed or desirable to allow and regulate such use consistent with applicable law while protecting the town's ecological resources and furthering its planning goals. Short and sweet. This was a lot bigger before. So now it's just slightly more than a page. This doesn't mean we have a solar moratorium. This still has to
Approved.
go to, yeah. I think going through the town is easy. Meaning I don't think anybody's going to be very upset about this. I think it's going to be interesting what happens once it leaves there. We try to get the Attorney General to approve it.
Oh,
Just because we get a solar moratorium passed locally doesn't mean it's going to
it's
happen.
actually approved.
So there's two hurdles to get through. We gotta go to the annual town meeting, so I'll be presenting the exact same thing I just presented to you guys. And then I don't expect a whole lot of local resistance unless there are developers that are upset about this. This doesn't prevent small scale. This does not prevent people from putting things on the roof, because this section didn't apply to roof mounted anyway. So that will continue. But it's the large scale and the battery energy storage systems that we're focused on. So we'll see what happens. But I think the language is good. So I don't think we have to vote on this tonight. This has to go to public hearing, right? That's what happens next.
Yeah.
So if the language is good with this, I think Carrie just cleans it up and then we put it on, is it the 8th? Right, it's May. It's in May when we're doing this. The public hearing. Putting this on the annual
Is
town.
it May or June?
Putting it on the warrant.
Thought it was the beginning of June.
No, the annual town meeting's in June, but before we can put something on it, we have to have a public hearing so that people at a planning board meeting can comment on this prior to it going to the warrant.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
Just a quick question.
Name and address,
Oh,
please.
I'm sorry. Leonard Hull, 760 Main Street, Dyke.
Thank you.
Like what you just said, will Kerry be putting a placeholder?
She's already done that. Yeah, she's already done that. She's got a placeholder for 5 warrants from the planning board, I think. I think it's 5.
Or we invite them for you once, just in case we make up something.
Okay. He's joking. In case we just put something together. Kind of like the document you're passing back and forth right now. Yeah, so he's working on, so that's a solar moratorium. Mr. Cunha?
Questions?
Any for your thoughts?
I mean,
Okay.
just so, this is just so that we're not forced to, so we have time to change our bylaws so they comply with the new changes that the state's
But the
putting
state,
forth.
the state is putting together a model bylaw, and I don't think it's out yet.
Right, so our town meeting happens, we're not gonna have enough time to change it to match the state before the town meeting, which is why we're doing this.
Yes, sir.
I just wanna,
Yeah, because there's quite a bit of difference between where we got to get and where we are now. And when we started to dig through it and quickly realizing that everything we're digging through is marked draft. And so really, we wouldn't have like, okay, here's a model bylaw. It's in like a week or two. And then we'd have 6 weeks to,
yeah,
I'm like,
silly question, does every town have their town meeting in June?
pretty much. This is not a Dayton problem. This is a state of Massachusetts problem.
Right. And do we feel that we don't think we could get it done by, like, we don't think June of 27 would be sufficient?
I think that's possible. Yeah, I think so.
I only ask that because it's not that, I'm not aware that anyone's banging down a door for new solar farms at the moment. But obviously, it's a big revenue for the town.
Right, and if
So-
if we're able to get something done sooner, I don't see there being any issue with us lifting a moratorium.
So we can lift
What
it at
I
any,
don't know is if we can do it
With the town meeting vote.
with a town meeting vote.
okay,
So if we're in a good spot 1 year from now and have everything we need,
then,
my concern was, hey, if we need to seek outside legal support, we're gonna have to get that in place.
that
And
does take
and that
time.
can take
That-
months.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I didn't want to try and get us under the wire for June of 2027. I don't like the idea of doing something this big on a special, so I was ignoring the specials.
Yeah,
It's like, I think we can get it done by May of 2027 to get it on the June 2027 annual town meeting, but just in case.
I know, that makes,
If it
that's,
rolls into
yeah,
that summer, then we could try to fit in a special, but this is such a big change. I think, special usually isn't as well attended. So I think more people at it would be better. I also like the idea of having a special behind our target annual, just in case things don't work out. Case in point, the solar bylaw that we have now was originally proposed in June, and it was defeated. And we made revisions and then got it approved at the special.
special.
So we did everything right. We had the public hearing, we had people come in, but that wasn't well attended, so we didn't get inputs until I stood up and started talking about the bylaw, and somebody raised a question and said, what about this? I'm like, it's a good comment. Wish you would have said that a month ago. So that means we didn't have a bylaw. So we were running fast and loose on standard operating procedure, which was fine, but we didn't have the bylaw update. So maybe we're not ready by May of 2027. We could try to put on that special.
Yeah,
We can figure it out. But
that's all fair. Yeah, that's all good.
I like them, please. Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome. This is a team
I
effort.
mean that.
This is a team effort. There's a lot of back and forth. Dan's been really helpful in this.
I thank you. Dan.
Carrie dug a bunch of stuff out. Chris, I think you sent some stuff on this too. So it's been a lot of back and forth.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you. It's a team effort. There's a lot of email that goes back and forth in the middle of the night.
10 to 11 hours, we're really busy.
It is. That's usually when my house is quiet. Okay, so next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes, but for March 5th. However, it's the amended version. I don't know if you saw that email from Carrie. It turns out, and specifically, I downloaded the minutes here just so we can read, because there's a footnote. So the minutes themselves remain unchanged, but I asked Carrie if we can modify. It's kind of weird because, we had the meeting and I said something that was wrong, incorrect. And that wound up in the minutes. I said, well, that's incorrect. So that's going to go out with wrong information. And she said, we can vote to amend it with the right information. And what I said was, when we were specifically talking about this moratorium, I said, oh yeah, we can definitely take out the small scale. That'll mean that nobody can do anything with a small scale larger than, what do we say, 50 kilowatts,
Oh, jeez.
right? Which is wrong. The number is actually 250 kilowatts because of what's in because and this is one thing we're gonna look at. It's confusing. It doesn't specifically say the largest size allowable for small scale. It tells you the minimum for what a large scale would be. And then in the appendix, in the definition, it defines it in like an inverse way. It's weird. So, but the threshold is 250. So really, the footnote says the 50 kilowatt number at 4631 requires a minimum of 2 acres. So that means the smallest a small scale can be is 50 kilowatts. Well, no, small scale ground mounted can be anything. But when you get to the 50 kilowatt threshold, you have to have at least 2 acres of land. That's what it says. And then it says in the appendix, a large scale per the glossary, not the appendix, the glossary, has a minimum nameplate capacity of 250 kilowatts. So 250 kilowatts and less is small scale.
Or 249.
249 and change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So less than 250 is small scale. That's what that means. So, but I said 50, the 50 is for 2 acres.
Okay.
So that's the only change. So if you guys are good with that footnote, because that's the only difference, somebody want to vote to amend make a motion to amend the March 5th meeting minutes with that additional footnote.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made.
Second.
This motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Now, can somebody make a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there any correspondence that anybody knows about?
No,
Any public input? I think it's just
it's
us.
just you
It's us.
and
not just
Mr.
me.
Hull.
Any public input, sir? Somebody make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good night, Dayton. Thank you.
Night.
Stand by.